This is a question, I don't know, it just came now spontaneously, and something wanted to know, what is your experience of living out of presence or living out of the self, the true witness, when you go about life? Because I feel like it's easy to get lost between the person and the presence. When I live my day-to-day life, I can fall out of, for me, staying connected with my body, my breath and presence, and get a little like lost in all things going on. And I'm wondering if it's any difference between living for you in the pure witness, as in this dance between the person and the presence. And just wanted to hear something about practical day-to-day living and going about making decisions and everything.
Yes.
Mm.
You know, at first, it may sound like one has always got to be in presence and one has always got to be very sort of focused on that. And there is a period where one is moving from personal consciousness into presence consciousness, where that is very much the case, where we need to really focus on heart presence. We really need to focus on the I amness, and we really need to take lots of breaks where we are just kind of resting in this kind of spaciousness without content. But as that sort of deepens and matures in us, and also as we begin to awaken to the pure seer, the pure seer, then for me, what it becomes, rather than a kind of feeling like I've got to do something and keep something up, it becomes, for me, it becomes more, I just need to not pick up I. I just need to not pick up this sense of I and just remain empty of I. Then something is just here by itself. It's almost like for a while we feel like we need to do something. And we do. For a while we do need to make effort. We do need to have a sort of sense of focus and be very aware and all of these things. For a while we do. But at a certain point it becomes much simpler than that. And it becomes just about this recognition, okay, don't pick up I. And what is I? When I'm speaking about I, what am I referring to? I'm referring to the contracted center, the egoic I. And I'm very aware of what that looks like inside me. And for all of us, I'm encouraging you, become very aware of what the egoic I is. Because people say, oh, it's just my ego, it's just my ego. But actually, we must become really clear about what that is. Because ego is not thoughts, nor is ego feelings, nor is ego emotions, nor is ego sensations. It only becomes ego when our sense of self joins with that. And once our sense of self joins with that, then so many things can build up around that. So many concepts and ideas, and so much can build upon that. So I'm very much encouraging people, look into your sense of I. What is this sense of I in you? And when I look in myself, I see that there is a kind of a contracted energy field in me. And it's a contracted energy field that for the first 35 years of my life, I just felt naturally that that was what I was. And I was desperately trying to cover that up. But then I saw through the pointings and through just having this deep calling into truth that there is something inside me that sees that knows that is aware of that. And that which knows this contracted center, that itself is before the contracted center. And it is possible for me to be without the contracted center. It may still be there. It may still have some sort of apparent existence. But without joining my unconscious identity with it, then its power is gone. Its power is gone. Then sometimes you may feel, at times you may, if there is strong emotional turbulence arising, if there's strong inner child emotions arising, or you're in difficult situations, you may feel, okay, I really need to find heart presence. I really need to be in heart presence, because heart presence can sort of stabilize these emotions in us. But there are lots of other times where there's just this kind of neutrality, this beautiful neutrality. Just this sense of, whatever words I give, it's not quite right, but just this sense of existence. And it doesn't need me to do anything to it. I just need to just let that be and not pick up the I in myself. And then I'm not separate from that. I'm not apart from that. And in that recognition, there is just a deep sense of peace and a deep sense of rest. And paradoxically, it fully allows our humanness to be who we are. We no longer need to be perfectly spiritual. We no longer need to always be meditating or chanting or whatever. We may still continue with those things. They may still go on, but we will not feel like we need them to get closer to God. Because we will see that to get closer to God, all we need do is not pick up I. Then as self and God, it is the same. We are an expression of that then. And actually what this comes down to, what it becomes a path of pure simplicity, of pure and natural simplicity. But we have to be ready for that, because it takes a kind of refinement process must go on, where we truly begin to enjoy our own silence and enjoy our own emptiness and enjoy just being as we are. Ramana Maharshi, he just said, be as you are, which really means be without ego, be without the false self, be without self-image, be without egoic image. Just be as you are. And this simple invitation, this natural invitation, as it enters enters your heart, you begin to recognize, actually, this is so simple. It's so natural. And what it is more than anything else, it is freedom. It is freedom for us to be as we are. The burden of trying to be something other than what we are is gone. The burden of trying to be, better than what we are is gone. And we are one human being who is no longer troubling the world. We're not troubling the world and we're not troubling ourselves. We are just as we are. And this is very beautiful to be like that. The simplest, you become the simplest. And people with strong ego, they won't even notice you. They won't even acknowledge you. They will kind of think you're insignificant. Many years ago, I remember being at a meeting with Eckhart Tolle, and he just came in just so like insignificantly. He just came in so gently, and he just sat down in front of hundreds of people for about 20 minutes and didn't say a word. And that is totally in alignment with the natural state. I never feel when I come to these meetings that I can prepare anything, or I can feel, okay, I'm going to speak about this tonight. All I'm coming with always is just this openness and just this willingness and invitation to all of us to see if, as Rumi put it, we can lay to rest in that ground. What is that ground? It is the ground of being. Can we put aside all differences? Politics, leave aside. Religion, leave aside. Philosophy, leave aside. Leave aside everything and just lay down in this ground of being and see if there is something wrong there.
And when it comes to dissociation, how does that come into the picture?
Yes. Dissociation is happening when this sense of I, the false I, what we may call the contracted center, is disidentifying from the body and is kind of escaping the body. And then we may feel a sense of relief, but that will not be a kind of embodied awakening. That will be a kind of escape from ourself. So that is why I'm always encouraging to come down through the body. Come down through the body. Come into the spiritual heart. The spiritual heart is fully embodying ourselves, is fully allowing our humanness. But when you go to the core of the spiritual heart, you will see that actually there's nothing there. There's not something in the middle of the spiritual heart. The spiritual heart is the sense I am, the feeling of beingness, I am. But if you go to the core of the I am, there is nothing there. But that nothing is the core of ourself, and it is witnessing, it is aware, it is God consciousness. But it is not dissociated. It is not flying away anywhere. The dissociation happens when the mind takes on the position of the witness, and then the mind is dissociating. That is not the true witness.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah.
Good to see. Yeah, I feel this has been my path to understand that this comes together and that there is no split between the body and this witnessing consciousness and presence. That's all actually one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. And just to say one more thing,
Mm-hmm.
they are more refined levels of consciousness. So the body consciousness is what we could say is a gross consciousness. We can feel that, we can touch that, we can sense that. But to come inside the body consciousness is the beingness consciousness. And the beingness consciousness is much more subtle. It's much more, it's more refined.
And vibration.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And if you come into the core of the beingness, you come to the self. They are not in three different locations. The body is also consciousness, but we are coming to see what is at the very core of ourself. And no dissociation is required. Dissociation is synonymous with imagination. We are imagining something and going somewhere. But I'm feeling you energetically, and I'm feeling you're coming to a very embodied realization in yourself. You're using the body to discover the beingness. And there will come a time where you're using the beingness to discover the self. But you won't be going anywhere out. You won't be going anywhere removed. It is all here. It is all right here. Just the consciousness is refining itself. So it is ready to deeply appreciate it. Because if we had a recognition of the self, yet we were not ready for that, then we would not appreciate it. It's like if you gave a child the keys for, I don't know, a big house. You gave a 2-year-old child, there you go, here's a big house. The child would not appreciate it. Child would like a big sweeties. So we only appreciate these things as we become more conscious and more refined. And what is beautiful to see is that if you read the great sages down the years, they're all speaking about the same thing. They're using different language, and they may be using different expression a little bit, but at the core of it, it's the same. At the core of all mysticism, it is the same. Find the self. Find what is at the core, not as a kind of belief or not as intellect, but as your known experience, as your known felt experience. And as you come into that, something then is just coming into natural rest. Others may still speak about, these experiences and this wonderful thing and these incredible, but you are just quiet now. Something inside you is quiet. Something inside you is resting and deeply appreciative of this natural state of being in you. A great rest comes on your soul. A great stillness is present for you. And a tremendous gratitude for this. Where does this leave you, Helen?
No words.
Yes. Yes. That's the best answer. That is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.